We were also affected by this matter. As you could see, we were in the commander's office. We tried to get some questions as well. Mr. Norton is not here, but he's on the phone constantly with us. He's out of the country, whereas he himself would have been here as well. So we have an entire team from the party here. We ourselves are seeking answers for what transpired here. So we met with the commander. We asked him a few questions, but we're still on it. We just want you to know that we are here for you. We will support you, ensure that justice prevails here in this matter. We've seen this kind of action from the police force before over the last 5 years. We've seen it right here in London before in 2012, I believe. 3 persons were killed. Unfortunately, again, you have to go through another family. Another 2 families have to go through the same thing all over again. So it's totally unacceptable, and we will ensure that we do everything possible, everything that we can do as a party. So ensure that we pressure the police force and we pressure the government to ensure that justice is served to the people of Finland, to your family, and to all the people of Finland. So just know that we will be with you. Do you have your number? The General Secretary got your number?
He's your first He has children?
Yeah, 4.
And she's single parent. Everybody should mind on her phone.
So Dan died and left 4 children.
The other guy had
And then the mother mind each and every one of their children. All her children. Without the father. It's not easy. Very painful right now.
You shot in this
His right eyes.
But my concern is he was not at that point at the bridge. How then did the police get contact with him? He was passing going home.
Going for document because they say he get shot by Jano's school and the protesters went to the bridge. So he don't pass the bridge, so how he could be a protester? Look down son.
That is news because everybody is thinking that he was shot at the protest site. That's what we were thinking.
How old is he? You're aware of what transpired with your father? You know where he is now?
This is Zelda.
This is and the other 3 with another girl.
Oh, this is his mother?
Yeah, this is his mother.
Can you use his mother?
Do you have siblings? How many siblings do you have?
You get tree.
No.
You get tree with the father.
You have to know. So that's true. Okay. You have to be the leader of the family. Right? actually going to get a whole lot of support. You're going to get a whole lot of support. The support team, your support team is going to be big. That's all I'm saying. We will not leave you alone in this, and we're going to stand by all of you. Okay?
You know, what I want to say at this time is very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate what has transpired in the venue today and last evening. One would have thought that with 10 police officers, just 10 police officers on the ground, and probably about over 500 persons engaged in live protest action, the police would have been more cautious, would have stand their ground a bit away from the crowd and not antagonize them or engage in any kind of exchange with them, so that you de-escalate the situation. And I think that is where some failure and some breakdown in the structure, in the command process would have occurred. On the other hand, it seems to me as a deliberate action, because if you have only 10 persons on the ground there, 10 officers, and you have about 500 people and you keep antagonizing them, you have 10 officers trying to push a crowd of 5. It's only a matter of time before something happens, and that is exactly what happened. So you would tend to believe that this might be deliberate, and then there is a precedence as well in Region 10. Back in 2012 and 2013, I believe it was 2012, we had 3 protesters being shot with live rounds in a similar manner. And then you had an international inquiry, if I can say that, being carried out, and that inquiry concluded that those persons were killed extrajudicially. So it was extrajudicial killing. And so it seems as though this here was deliberate. I would say the police were deliberate in their action. They knew the outcome, which would have occurred. There is no answer as to why live rounds were used. I can't see rocks or bricks being hurled at the police as being the reason for that kind of action. Live rounds being discharged at the protesters. And then we're hearing as well that this individual, the last victim, was not part of the protest. He was someplace else, at least so many 100 feet away from the protest, and he was shot in his eye, shot to death on the spot. And so that again is very suspicious. It raises a lot of questions as to what really transpired, what really was the motive, because nothing can justify, in my mind, nothing can justify a police officer firing into a crowd with live rounds. So something is definitely wrong. There needs to be a thorough investigation. Our parties are really called for a thorough investigation, and we do not believe that thorough investigation or that impartial or independent investigation can be done by the RSS. We've seen the works of the RSS before, when it was the case of the Henry Boys back in 2020. We saw them say that the RSS would have done whatever investigation, and that was a complete failure. Up to today, we don't have closure into the Henry Boys matter. As a matter of fact, both parents of those boys died not knowing what exactly transpired and without any justice. We've seen as well in the case of Orrin Boston, the president would have made all kinds of statements saying that no stone will be left unturned And yet 4 years later, in the Orange Boston matter, justice is still not served. We've seen what transpired in the Quindon Bacchus matter, where the government and the police force, after denying what transpired, after concocting all sorts of stories, after ducking certain people in terms of the investigation, they came out just recently in the last couple of weeks and accepted liability, and I believe they offered the family some bit of cash, a measly couple of $1 million. After denying the fact, we saw in Boston's case quite similar to one of the cases here. I think the case last night is quite similar to Boston, where the police released a statement saying that the guy was shot mistakenly. We saw the same thing from Boston. Initially, what they did was to put out a statement in Boston's case, claiming early morning, I remember it clearly, claiming that Boston was under the bed and he apparently had a gun or something looking like a gun. But it was until we went in and his wife said, no, that is not what transpired. He was in his bed, he was shot in his bed, in his sleep, actually naked, lying next to his wife. And so they removed that statement at that time. That's 4 years ago in 2021. Boston is yet to get justice. His family, his children are yet to get justice. We see Ronaldo Peters leaving a young child, 1 year old. We see Dan Johnson leaving 4 children, and one at the age of 1 or under 2 years old. And so the blame for this has to be squarely put at the feet of the People's Progressive Party, at the government. It has to be put at the feet of the police. And so I would want to call once again for a thorough, independent investigation with respect to this matter.
Good afternoon again. We have been briefed by the police and we had an opportunity to meet with the second victim of the incident today, Dan Fogneay. The police has given us clarity on what they thought occurred in both instances, and at this time, as a responsible political party, we are calling for the restoration of peace and order. We believe that at this stage of the game, the police has indicated that they are going to do an investigation, even though we have our reservations, and I think my colleagues before had called for an independent investigation. I want to echo that call, to have an independent investigation done. But in fairness to the police, I think we should allow them backs to do their work in a fair, impartial, and uninhibited way. It is unfortunate that lives have been lost. Children are now left to grow without their fathers, and one will wonder what will happen to those children. But at the same time, I believe, and I think the party believes, that the blame should be laid wholly and solely at the feet of the People's Progressive Party, which has indicated in its ineptitude to deal with matters of this national importance, to deal with matters that concerns citizens. They have not dealt with issues in a fair, clear and transparent manner. From the reports we have received from both sides, we have seen gray areas, and one can only conclude that there are certain missteps, but we will allow the process to unfold through an investigation, through an impartial, independent investigation, and we ask that the family members, we've sympathized with both sides of the family. We're asking for peace, we're asking for calm, and I think at this juncture, we should allow not normalcy, but we respect persons' right to protest, but we do not want to have an escalation of something and have a situation where more lives are lost. We believe that we have fundamental rights which must be done. We disagree with the issue of using live fire in the protests. We want to reiterate and indicate that if there is a part in the police standing order that speaks to proximate force, we disagree that live rounds should be used in both cases. Because there was no danger. I don't believe sticks and stones would have warranted the use of live rounds in a protest. To that end, I call again for the removal, the resignation of the Minister of Home Affairs, the Commissioner of Police, and the President of Guyana.
Good afternoon. I'm the brother of Keon Fogneay, and I'm calling for justice for my brother. Firstly, he weren't a part of the protest. He was riding, going his way home, on his way from Georgetown, and he was shot to his eye for no reason. And now he gone, leaving 4 children. The smallest child, not even 1 year old yet. And I need justice for him. He didn't deserve such.